Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Digital to Dice podcast. I am Dave.
I'm Ron.
And Ron, we get episode 178 today.
Isn't that a bridge someplace in New Jersey on I-178?
It
bridge
probably
or a tunnel
is.
Or, something like that.
It's always about a bridge in New Jersey, from what I gather. Oh, you got some thunder over there, huh?
Yeah, it's 43 degrees today as we're taping this on Wednesday, April 5th, and it's our first thunderstorm of the year.
I thought that might have been your stomach growling.
No. No. I was waiting for the rim shot for you to play that, and no. It does sometimes growl, especially when you go on and on and on and on and on about something. But no, it's an honest to goodness thunderstorm. It's not warm enough to sit outside in it, but
I was streaming one night, and I don't know what I was playing. I might have been playing Mike Sealock 2-minute drill. And I was rolling dice, and I was streaming at the time. I had the window open right here because it was a nice summer day. And you could hear the booms outside. Yeah. And I remember there was like a couple of games left for me to finish that particular week of the season. I was like, I'm going to really try to roll these dice and finish this week out. And then I got to shut off because I don't want to have the power go out. And I think I finished up the weeks. I did something else, and I shut down the computer, and then like 10 minutes later, we did lose power. So I was like, whew.
Wow.
Yeah, that was kind of, that was close. But yeah, so I heard the thunder over there. So sometimes it does come through. Anyway, ways to get a hold of us. Digitaltodice.com is the website. 978-751-DICE is the dice line. Digitaltodice@yahoo.com is our email. Facebook.com/groups/digitaltodice. Come on over and join the conversation on Facebook. And also pinned to the top of the Facebook group are baseball player pictures that Al Red Sox fans sent to us. And I'm there all the time. I'm clicking on that file, so it's a good thing we pinned it because I've been playing some new baseball seasons, and I've been grabbing all those player pictures. So if you need player pictures, come over to our Facebook group.
Absolutely.
And check that out. And also, if you'd like to be a Patreon and support the show for either $2 a month or $5 a month, if you think the show is worth 50 cents, please support the show. Patreon.com/digital2dice. Let me see. We're going to get to what we're playing. And then we have a Pocket Pennant Run update. I talked with Matt McKeever this morning from Pocket Pennant Run, and we have an update on what's going on with Pocket Pennant Run. And then we'll get into our topic of the day, which is going to be reference sites.
Yes.
It's something that Ron and I are on all the time, the different reference sites, looking up stats and things like that. And that's how I get my ideas for replays. That's where I find my as-played lineups. And so I'm there all the time, to a point where some of them I even subscribe to because I'm just there all the time. I'm like, to get rid of the ads and make this thing go faster and to support them because I'm using their websites all day long. I felt it was the right thing to do. But there's a few other sites, too, that we stumbled on that just kind of fill in some of the gaps for what you're doing on a project if you want to get real serious with something, or if you're just looking for some ideas too. And we'll talk about how we use the reference sites and some of them that we use later on in the show. So that's kind of how it's going to go today. So I guess we'll start off with what we're playing. Ron, what have you been playing?
Well, let's see. The 2001 Action PC Season Odyssey is now into summertime. June 21st or whatever, and the big surprise is the Florida Marlins. They are in first place in the National League East by 3 games over Atlanta, New York, and Philadelphia. It's a 4-team battle royale as we get closer and closer to the All-Star break. I didn't realize I was that far along. Just past the 70-game mark in the season. So that's pretty good. And so we've had the Marlins on the last couple days. I'm sure ratings will be great for that. And they beat Greg Maddux and the Braves last night, and today they beat Rand. So the story of Randy Wolf was the pitcher that had all the potential in the world and just would fall apart. And so our good friend Midlife Crisis was watching, and he said, well, Randy usually implodes in the 6th. So he gets through the first 9 batters, and one person reaches, and it was a race on double play. So through 3 innings, he'd face the minimum 9 batters. And then came the 4th, in which he gave up 7 hits, 7 runs, all earned, and couldn't get out of the 4th.
Ooh.
So, if you've watched my stuff, usually after nine batters, they throw so many pitches and you can't do better than 3. And so in the 4th inning, when I'm reading after 18 batters, the computer yanked his tushy there. So, so that's been fun. The American League Central is a dead heat between Chicago and Cleveland. And the Giants lead everyone by 6, although Arizona is starting to make a move. So that's fun. Oh, I forget what the All-Star game was that year. But the second holiday doubleheader is like a couple weeks. So been doing that. As most of you know, Dave and I beta tested Digital Diamond Baseball version 11. And I am loving the Status Pro.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely loving that. And the fact that that's, potentially 95 seasons of a card and dice game that you get for $24.95 on top of his Digital Diamond effort and bring your own game effort. Did that. So I set up something in one of those only meaningful to me projects within the game. So I found 10 teams or 12 teams, I think it ended up being 12 teams, that either they have a favorite player of mine from growing up or a favorite player of mine I discovered as an adult or just an overall favorite team. And so I'm going to talk about one game. I covered the 2017 Nationals, and they opened up against I had to do a Tom Seaver season, and his best season was either 70 or 73. And they really weren't that great in 70, but they won the division in 73. So I picked the 73 Mets. And so it's Max Scherzer on the mound for Washington versus Tom Seaver. And Scherzer does what he always did early, home run city. So they were down 4. Washington was down 4-0 in the first. They battled back. They chased out Seaver. I didn't realize that Buzz Capra pitched for the Mets. I remember him with the Braves watching early on TBS, one of those things. And Michael A. Taylor, if you know his story, he wasn't very good, but it doesn't matter if you're not very good all the time. He walked it off with a 3-run homer in the bottom of the 9th. And so that sort of thing. So that was that for that. I did a video on the teams, by the way.
Okay.
That's been pretty. I mean, that took 2 hours to set that up.
Yeah, when you said doing custom things like that, yeah.
So when you do a custom thing like that, but it's fun to do and it's nice to test to see what the game can do. So primarily between that and the fact that we had Mark on for an hour and a half, a couple hours on Saturday, and the wife's home this week, that's pretty much all I've been playing sports-wise.
Yeah, the only Taylor I know is from Planet of the Apes. So, anyway, nothing.
I've visited a Taylor or two in my time.
Get the suits looking good, huh?
That's right. Remember, it's better to look good than to feel good.
That's right. Obviously, I've been playing some Status Pro as well. And I've been enjoying that very much. I just been bouncing around, trying out the different seasons, different teams. I really haven't done a serious replay in it yet, but I have been playing it. What I have been doing though is I've been really into the app of baseball. Yeah, it's just been I've been playing I like playing the 1980 World Series. And I've been using Digital Diamond to keep all my stats. And I had a crazy glitch in the bottom of the 9th. of one of the games I was playing, and didn't have much of a choice but to shut down. And Mark actually saw the video and fixed the problem. The next morning we had a bug fixed for that bug there, and he's like, "I'm glad you were alive because I got to see firsthand what you did to cause the bug."
Right.
And he goes, "I got the same thing and I fixed it." So Digital Diamond has been out less than a week, but boy, I tell you, he's all over fixing whatever it is. It's really fantastic.
I had a Super Bowl from that 78 season, the first one I did.
Yeah.
And the internet crashed in the 4th quarter. I believe Dallas had just gone in to either tie the game or take the lead because it actually had a Dallas-Pittsburgh Super Bowl. So there's 4.5 minutes to go, and all of a sudden I look up and there's no viewers and packets are being dropped. So I stopped. No one missed anything. And so, first year of the channel live failure during the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that happened. So I just said it was a rain delay and ended that, and I'll go back and finish the rest of that game later on. But I also started playing because I had some APA World Series teams. I started playing the 1970 World Series. And this is something I'm not real familiar with. This is well before my wheelhouse of baseball. Mm-hmm. And so I played game one. Was it Baltimore, Cincinnati, I think it was?
Yes.
And Baltimore won. Palmer went the distance. Fun game. I think it was 2-1. I think the Orioles got a home run from, was it Brooks Robinson or somebody maybe? And then
well, he single-handedly won that World Series in real life.
Yeah, somebody hit a home run, and off the top of my head, I forget who it was. And Johnny Bench hit a home run for Cincinnati, and that was the only run to the Reds. It was a 2-run shot by Baltimore and a single shot by the Reds, and I think it was a 2-1 final. But having some fun playing some guys, Frank Robinson, Brooks Robinson, guys I remember that were kind of on the tail end of their careers when I was growing up. So it's fun seeing all those names there. Pete Rose, a young Jim Palmer. So it was kind of fun, playing that there. So I've really been into the APA. So I actually picked up a couple of seasons, and I'm like, I think I'm going to get back into the APA baseball. Really looking forward to playing. I ordered 1973. Really looking forward to playing the 73 A's. I don't know why, but I got a hankering to play the 73 A's. So I'm gonna play some of that.
Did you see the picture on the golf course recently of Johnny Bench and Bobby Orr playing together?
No.
Yeah. Take a look.
That'd be cool.
They both look great because Bobby just turned 75.
Yeah, he's kept himself in good shape. Good for Bobby. Let's see, what else did I do? I played some Inside the Crease on the PC. Mm-hmm. As you know, I played the 71-72 Stanley Cup Finals with Hockey Bones and with APA. And so I says, okay, let me take out Inside the Crease and see what this does. So I played one game offline, and Rangers won 6-5 in overtime. So the Rangers, they seem to be beating up the Bruins in this replay. They're taking it to them. So
yeah, I mean, again, we talked about it before. Maybe the mistake was, maybe the outlier was real life.
Maybe it was. That's what a few people said. The Rangers kind of choked that one away. Let me see. I'm setting up 1980-81 Hockey Bones, and I'm going to play the Minnesota North Stars playoffs. They actually swept the Bruins 3-0. That's another YouTube thing that I saw. So I was okay. That's good series to play. So I'm going to see if they can sweep them again and see how far I can take the North Stars.
Now, who's on that team?
Oh boy. Well, for the Bruins or for the North Stars?
For the North Stars.
For the North Stars, yeah.
Why were you interested in playing them? I mean, there must be somebody there.
Oh yeah, I think they just merged with the Barons. Actually,
it was a couple of years after that. Is Bellows there, or would that be too early?
Oh, well, let me see here. So it's 80-81. Right. I had all this set ready to go, and stupid me didn't have it ready. Let's see. So they had Steve Payne, Al McAdam, who was a SEAL, Bobby Smith, Brad Maxwell, Jack Carlson, who I think is one of the Hanson brothers, actually, Craig Hartsburg, Neil Broughton, Gordy Roberts, and net was Miloš Beaupre.
So Broughton was on the Olympic team, wasn't he?
I think he was. Yeah, Dino Ciccarelli, of course, can't fit. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
A 20-year-old Dino Ciccarelli. How cool is that? So they beat the Bruins. And then
that sounds like a really ragtag team.
It was, yeah. They finished 35-28 and 17. They weren't killing it. They were in third place, and they beat the Bruins, who was just above them. Then they beat the Sabres, who took the division that year, and then they beat the Calgary Flames. And then they lost to the Islanders in the Stanley Cup, but I thought it'd be fun to kind of play that out.
Interesting, okay,
and see how that goes. So I'm going to be doing that series. So I'm setting up that, and I'm setting up a shootout project with the 1978 Cleveland Barons, and I'm going to try a hybrid of a hybrid method of shootout.
A hybrid of a hybrid.
Yeah, whereas I'm going to use the helper. Okay.
Yes. The shootout helper to flip the cards. I will have the cards on the screen in the helper because I have, most of the seasons inputted into the helper. Right.
But instead of using the helper to do all the stats, which, once you score a goal and get a penalty, you got to go into the menu and then do drop downs, and it takes a little
drop down menus, right?
Yeah, it's kind of a pain in the neck sometimes. But it's great to keep your stats and do a box score. It doesn't keep a season stats, but it will keep a box score stats. So what I'm going to do is when they score, I'm going to use my own pen and paper score sheet.
Nice.
Yeah, so that way there, I don't have to flip the cards myself. I don't have to dig out the teams. Everything's on the computer, but I will keep all the stats. So if I score a goal, I can kind of go back to the original shootout way of, okay, who got it, and just write it down instead of letting the program decide. So,
yeah.
So I think it'll just save me a little bit of writing there. So I'm going to play some 7-8 Cleveland Barons and see how they do. Be fun to kind of do that. And lastly, because I ordered some seasons of APA, I had to contact Chris White, who's going to make me up the envelopes for my.
Those are beautiful.
They are. I got them behind me over here. So if you've ever seen me stream, you see them behind me over here. And they are. They just, I walk by them every day, and they just put a smile on my face. They do. And I have a couple seasons up there that are just the standard ones. And every now and then when I order some APA stuff, I contact him and I chip away at my stock up here. I say, hey, let me get this season too, because that's one we haven't done yet. So pretty soon I'll have all my seasons of APA, baseball, and hockey in nice looking envelopes from Chris White. And it's just great. You pull them out and you can see the team record. I like seeing the logo, and he does a good job with it. So
you're very visual with that.
I am very visual. It's part of my setup, actually, because when I play, I put the envelopes down here on the table, and I put the spare guys right next to the envelope so I can have the team and the logo and the whole bit. And it's just kind of nice. Sometimes he puts the record of the team and, what division they're in and things like that. He does them up real nice. I recommend looking up Chris White on Facebook if you want to get some custom APA envelopes, and they're really not that expensive, and they just provide the immersion that we're all looking for. So I think that's all I've been playing. I've been playing quite a bit since busy season kind of ended for me over here, so it's nice to get some gaming back on the table. A couple quick announcements here. As we mentioned, Digital Diamond 11 did drop about a week ago.
Opening day, yeah.
Opening day, and that's been really fun. We've been playing the crap out of that. I mean, between the Status Pro and then the Board Game Companion, and that's probably why I'm picking up some new APA seasons, because I have something that can keep the stats for me, and I can. So I really want to take a team. I'm thinking the 73 A's and maybe the 78 Red Sox, and play every game, and I'll play it in the companion and let the Digital Diamond simulate the other games, and just see what I would do, with my replay playing APA Basic. Because to quote the replay gamer who I was watching him play APA, he says, if I was going to do a full season replay, APA would be the game to do it in, because it plays so fast.
It does play pretty quick, and you memorize those boards. Yeah,
I started to memorize the 13s and the 14s and the 30s and things like that, and so I was getting kind of good. I still check just to be sure, but I was getting kind of fast at it. It was kind of fun how I was playing that. So
it plays really well, and again, that you can pretty much do anything you want with that Board Game Companion.
Oh my God, yeah. Yep. Any game you want, you just input what happened. It really is. It really is fun. And what was funny is on Facebook, Mark posted that there was a typo in the companion guide as far as the codes went, and he says a Bach is BK, not BLK. Or vice versa. I forget which one it was.
Right.
So he goes, I'll fix that, but just so you guys know, right? So I replied, he goes, for a Bach, I've been putting in HR and it works fine.
You would.
I would put that in. Oh, it's a Bach. It's a home run. That works for me. All right, yeah. So, all right. Oh, and the other thing is Strat just dropped 1997 baseball.
Yeah, they're going to do what they did last year and just kind of surprise people with extra seasons.
That's kind of neat, yeah. They put some things back in stock, maybe. So
I don't think it's a redo. I just think they've just it's a reprint.
So what do you think? Putting seasons back in stock to sell might make some sales?
You'd think.
You'd think? Unbelievable.
Although between 95 and 2000, it was just such a dark time for baseball. I don't know if they've redone that. They would have done 98 with that. So 97 would have been all done in super advanced anyway. But if you're a Marlin fan, right, or a Cleveland fan, that's now out there.
All right.
I see Guardian fan, probably Tim, probably picking that one up if he hasn't already.
Yeah.
So
cool. And so without further ado, let's get to that interview with Matt McKeever about Pocket Pennant Run. He's going to talk a little bit about what's going on with that. Joining us on the dice line once again from Pocket Pennant Run, it's Matt McKeever. And Matt, what's going on over there with Pocket Pennant Run? Can you clarify a few things?
Sure. Well, good to see you, Dave. So we made a post a couple of days ago about how we're going to be switching up kind of how we create our physical game. Previously, what we had done was Craig and I were compiling all of the inventory and parts of the game ourselves, ordering from different places and putting them together and shipping together ourselves. Just to alleviate a little bit of that work on our end, we're switching over to a format called the Game Crafter. It's a very popular print-on-demand board game creation service site. I believe the website is just thegamecrafter.com. But what they do is they offer game makers the ability to create all the parts of their game, package them together, and then people can just go on their website and order your game. So the cool thing about it, the thing that we're kind of excited about it, is that our game will never go out of stock because they're always printing on demand and they always have stock of inventory, which is something that we previously had to keep track of on our own. So now people will be able to go on to the Game Crafter. We'll have links on our website and on our Facebook page. And people can order our games and our roster card sets and our game mats and anything else that we create will be on that site. And once you order it, it will all be taken care of through the Game Crafter. That just allows us to not have to deal with that stuff. I know for me, I'm about to start a new job. Craig's getting a little bit busy, and all the shipping and stuff like that was just kind of getting to be a lot. So the plus side is that our game will never go out of stock and that we can focus our efforts more on creating new content. I guess the only downside is that there is maybe a slightly different shipping fee from the Game Crafter. It might be a couple dollars more. And then their processing time is a little bit longer. Craig was sort of like, I think Craig used to work for the post office, so he was really good at like shipping at the best rates and getting the fastest shipping, and he would go by the post office almost every day to drop stuff off. So we might see a little bit longer processing time, but the beautiful thing is that this is going to streamline things for us. So just to kind of make sure everybody's clear, we're not changing anything. We're not going anywhere. In fact, we've been hard at work on the next edition of the game. And the nice thing about creating on the Game Crafter is that there's not this big process of ordering all this inventory. Once we're ready to release the next edition, we'll just go ahead and release it on the Game Crafter, and it'll be ready for people to order. So yeah, that's kind of the update for us. It's going to take us a couple weeks to get all of our stuff moved over to the Game Crafter. And like, for example, the boxes that we used for our game were ordered from a different site. So now we have to make our boxes through the Game Crafter, which are a little bit different. But I'm actually kind of excited because I'm thinking about changing up the style of the box and how everything's packaged. But it should look really nice. It should be pretty comparable in price to what it was previously. And we should be up and running just in a couple weeks. And then the other thing, too, is that we still have some inventory that we have that we're looking to get rid of. So I think what we're planning on doing here in the next maybe week or so is we might be doing some sort of like a little garage sale where we kind of have like miscellaneous items that we still have in our own personal stock that we're looking to sell. So, we've got a number of copies of Small Ball, which is our new single card game. We've got all-time great sets. We've even got, if anybody wanted like a box, one of the original boxes, if you just wanted to display one, we would sell those as well. So we've got a bunch of miscellaneous things. So keep an eye out maybe for like a little PPR garage sale coming up soon.
Nice. Now, how would this affect the PDF sales of this game?
So the Game Crafter also will sell PDFs as well, so you can print and play on there, and we'll make the PDFs are going to be basically the same cost. As you could probably expect, the Game Crafter, when they print the physical game, they're going to take a cut of the sales, right? I mean, that's to be expected. But with the print and play, the PDF versions, they don't really take a cut because it's not costing them any labor or materials to make it. So one other thing I forgot to mention, which is really nice, is previously, when you bought the physical game, inside the game, there were directions on how to go to a website to download the software, which is one of the biggest parts of the game, right? So now with the Game Crafter, we can actually attach the software files to the physical purchase, which is what we couldn't previously do that with the service we were using to sell our games previously. So now, when you order the physical game, all the files will be there when you order the physical game, right when you order it, so you can access the software right away. And that was a big question a lot of people had. They would order the physical game, and they'd be so anxious to start digging in that they would email us and go, hey, can I just get the login or information for the software right now? And we would send it to them. But it was kind of just an extra step. Now, when you order the physical game from the game crafter, those files will come right with your order, and you can start digging into the software before your game even gets there.
Nice. Okay, so there'll be actually no more ordering even PDFs from your current website right now. Everything's going to go through Game Crafter?
Right now, you can still order the PDF. We're going to keep that up. We're going to keep all the print and play stuff up until we've made the switch, and then we'll make sure to alert the community when we're switching over. But everything PDF will be available. There'll never be like a downtime for that. We'll keep that other site going until we get it switched over, and then we'll make that switch, and it should be seamless.
Okay, and the PDF through the Game Crafter should be pretty instantaneous?
Yep. Yeah, it's the exact same way. You'll order it, and it'll give you the downloads right away. Okay. So yeah, it should be very easy.
Okay, good. So if you're fans of Pocket Pennant Run, they're not going anywhere. They're just switching over to the Game Crafter as far as selling their products printed in PDF, and they are working on a new version of Pocket Pennant Run. Before we go, would you like to give us any sneak peeks of the new version?
Oh, sure. Yeah, we are, let's see, a couple of things. Well, right now, Craig and I are talking about some really radical changes. Right now, we're kind of deciding if these radical changes would apply to Pocket Pennant Run, or we'd want to branch off and do something completely different. But Craig's really taken the lead on some of these big changes that would involve different types of hits. Also, he's looking at dividing up the outfield for outfield positioning. It's just a matter of how deep in the weeds do we want to go with the complexity on this. So we're kind of solving that right now. But a couple things that I can tell you: we're going to be incorporating some ballpark effects, which has been a community request. We're going to be incorporating a little bit deeper integration with manager decisions and manager tendencies. That seemed to be a popular thing that we kind of played around with last time, but now it's going to be a part of the game, so that when you're doing replays, you can not only just replay the way the players played, but you can also simulate how the managers would have called their game as well. And then just a couple of various chart adjustments. Rare plays are going to get a little bit more streamlined. I know for me, with the rare plays, as much as I enjoy kind of the strange rare plays, a fan runs on the field or something like that, it doesn't really affect the game itself. So We're kind of trying to pare down our rare plays to things that affect the actual game,
I see, yeah.
So that's going to be a little bit different as well. And then, so the manager tendencies, the ballpark effects, rare plays, and then we'll see about some of these other things Craig has been looking at. He just sent me an email a couple minutes ago with a whole bunch of information for some things for me to look at. And then we're going to we're revamping the styling, using new fonts and colors and stuff like that, just to kind of freshen things up a little bit. So yeah, that's right now, but we've still got a couple months to kind of play around with some more stuff.
So it sounds like you guys are creating a Pocket Pennant Run Advanced Edition, maybe, right?
Potentially, yeah, that's a possibility. That's been a big request from people. They want to see more granularity in the ratings. They want to see more options for results. So yeah, there's a possibility this could turn into an advanced version of the game, but we definitely still want to offer that, that game that we have right now, really the simplified, streamlined game that you can play in, 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah, that's such a pick up and play version of a baseball game. I really like that. And I would hate to see you guys go away from that, because I still enjoy playing that. But to have the option of maybe an advanced or a super or whatever you want to call it, and maybe it's a complete new game, who knows? But I mean, to have that option to go a little deeper is great, but I still like what you've done to this point.
Well, thanks. The only other thing I wanted to mention while I was here is we do have this game, Small Ball. In fact, I have it sitting right here. It's a single card game. The Game Crafter, in addition to creating and printing games, they also do contests sometimes. And one of the contests they did was a single card challenge. Who could make a board game out of one single poker-sized card? And there were a couple hundred entries into this. And I was like, I'll take this game that I had created a couple of years ago called Small Ball. It's a pressure luck baseball dice game. It's geared more towards kids getting into the game or just somebody who wants something super light. So I made a single card version of it, and it worked out really well. So Craig and I printed, I don't know, 50 or 60 of them, and we threw a dry erase marker and a die, and we have a decal for the game too in these little baggies. They're like $8, I think. So just for the cost of printing and shipping and whatnot. So those are available. I'm actually right when we get off this meeting, I'm going to record a full game of small ball, because I feel like we've talked about it, but we haven't really shown exactly how the game is played. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to play a full game, and I'll have that posted probably later today. What is today, the 5th? So I'll have it posted later today, just a full game so people can kind of follow through. It's a really, really fun game. It's not a simulation. You're not going to be playing with real players or trying to simulate seasons, but if you just want to play a fun, breezy game of baseball, it's a really, really fun game. And I think people will like it. And hopefully at some point this year, we're going to make a full board game version of it as well. And that was always kind of the plan, was to make a full game version of it with like multiple dice and stuff like that. But for right now, we just have this little version that you can fit in your wallet, which is kind of fun.
That sounds great. All right. So, again, Matt McKeever from Pocket Pennant Run, thank you for the update. And we're looking forward to seeing all these great things in the future for you guys.
Yeah, thanks for letting me stop in and share our update, Dave. Appreciate it. All right.
So that was a great interview with
Absolutely.
Matt McKeever about Pocket Pennant Run, so it gives you an idea what's going on with that game. That's a fun game. I still enjoy playing that. In fact, that's when I played my 1979 season. That's in the rotation when I'm playing 79 on Digital Diamond. Yeah. So
glad to see they're busy enough to make it worth their while to actually do that sort of thing.
Yeah, they're shuffling all the sales over to a third party, so they don't have to do it all themselves. That frees them up a little bit to do some other things, including working on the next version of Pocket Pennant Run. So I'm interested to see what they do with that. So all righty. So should we get into the topic of the day?
Let's do it.
All right. So reference sites.
Yes.
That's something where I'm on all the time. I mean, I'm on YouTube all day long listening to stuff and watching stuff, all different things on YouTube. You know, I really have quite a variety of things I listen to besides from the sports sims community. And but when I'm looking at my replays, you know, something will strike me on YouTube, or I'll be watching TV and they'll show a flashback. It's like, oh yeah, I remember that.
Sense of inspiration, or what have you.
Yeah, it does. That's what we talked about. What inspires a replay project or whatever, and so I when I see that, it's like, oh, let me go check that out. So I'll go to Baseball Reference or Hockey Reference and start looking there. Sometimes Hockey DB's another good one for hockey there,
right?
And, you know, sometimes you can go right to the main site, to the NHL.com, the MLB.com, or whatever sport you're playing, and you can get some information there too. But when you're playing the past stuff, you know, when you go to a reference site, it's kind of like walking into the halls of whatever, you know. It's a big, huge library of anything you want to see there.
Yeah, box scores. And all that.
And sometimes, me and you will be talking sometimes. We'll just be chilling out at night, you know, talking, and you'll go to one of the sites, and you'll be like, do you realize that, you know, this guy here for this team did this in this season? I'll be like, I had no idea, you know. And then you know that he played for this team, and you could just follow a guy's career.
Oh, it's a rabbit hole. It's an absolute rabbit hole.
It is. And so we'll just sit and just entertain ourselves. We've talked for a couple of hours sometimes. Just sitting here at night, just chilling out, and it's just, you know, we're looking at the reference site about this, that, and the other thing. It's like, are you kidding me? It's like, wow, I had no idea. And, you know, stuff you saw as a kid that didn't maybe quite register, you know.
But they've gotten so deep.
Yes.
I mean, they've kind of graduated. I'm trying to look over here to see what I got for. I'm not sure if I have any of the Neff Cohen stuff, but, you know, they've gone from the big books. You talked about the Sports Encyclopedia and baseball, the Neff Cohen, and right. I had one for football that 30 years, and it was just fascinating as a kid. You wonder why I was single as a teenager, and to go through and go, wow, you could read about not summaries. It's not like the the WHA book would be another example of that. We had him on.
Yeah.
But, you know, the Neff Cohen of team summaries of things that you never, well before you were born. And so you could see the evolution of how pitching changed for that in those books. How Sparky Anderson was the first to use a bullpen to really be effective, and so on and so forth. I'm sure we'll get comments on that. But so the reference sites take that basic counting stats, if you will, that add the splits and the game logs. And so if you the first game you ever went to, if you remember the date, you can go in there and read the play-by-play of the game and who scored what. Of course, that's off for retrosheet.org anyway, for baseball, and just relive and learn.
Yeah.
Because it's just so many different things.
It's just so helpful. So when I'm doing my World Series here, you go there and you go right to that game, and it gives you the lineup, and it gives you who played, if somebody pinch hit or pinch ran or come in from the bullpen, and that's where I start. So when I play, my World Series games, I start with a starting lineup, and then the guys that played, they go under the top of the pile. So if I'm going to bring in somebody to pinch hit or a relief pitcher, I go to them first. So I try to stay as true to the game as possible. And the same with hockey. I try to make sure I get the goalie right, and if who played in the game and who didn't, and that's just kind of how I like to do it. But the reference sites are just so huge for that. How they're also huge is when I'm at the rink sometimes and I'm just scorekeeping, and I have time to kill if I'm not refereeing, if I'm just sitting off to the side or whatever. I'll be on the reference site, and I'll look at some of the seasons I got, and I'll say, okay, what would be a fun one-off game to play? And a lot of times what I'll do is I'll click on the schedule, right? And then what I'll do is I'll find like the most lopsided game. Who let up the most goals or the most runs, and I'll mark that down. It's like, I think I'm going to play that game. That would be a fun one to see how close I could come to that ridiculous score, or I'll pick a team. I'm like, I had no idea this guy was on the team. He only played 15 games. I should definitely do a game with him in that. So I find a lot of my one-offs on the reference sites, and I look at that, and so I do that while kind of quote I'm at work and I'll write them down off to the side. Like December 5th, 1974. I want to play this game here. Or maybe I'll find Gump Worsley's last game again. It was against the Flyers, and I'll say, okay, he lost it, but I said maybe that's a game I could try to play somewhere. And so I use it for so many different things, not only just to kind of entertain myself and to go back in time and read stats. I love numbers and the whole bit. But you get so many ideas and inspirations of games to play, and then it turns into a rabbit hole because you find one team or one player, and then you click on something else, and it goes here, and then it goes there. And next thing you know, you're 15 or 16 clicks down the line, and you have all these projects in mind, or these one-offs, or maybe even a whole season thing. And we were sitting here the other night, and I'm like, man, I don't know why, but I always liked the A's when I was a kid, the Sal Bandos, the Joe Rudy, and
the color of the uniforms. I bet you were attracted to the color of the uniforms.
Yeah, was it Charlie Finley that had the uniforms?
Charlie Finley,
yep. So I hemmed and hawed over 73 or 74 because I like 74, and I picked up 73 actually for Appa. So I said, okay, I'm going to go a little bit further out of my comfort zone with 73, and I'm going to play those A's there. And I looked at the lineups, like these are all names I remember as a kid. Now I didn't know them very well, but they were all just names I remember hearing as a kid. So I was like, I think I'm going to do that there. But it was just fun clicking around the different A's team. And then you were the one that told me about 1988 with Jose Canseco. And I was like, Mark McGuire. I was like, holy, I barely remember that. And I know it was 88. It wasn't that long ago. But, yeah, they had a good team. And they beat up
35 years ago.
Okay, that's a long time ago. But it's not as long as 73, No.
My wife was born in 73.
Yeah, that's 50 years ago. Yeah, so I guess it's all a blur.
You said it, I didn't.
That's a blur. 35, 50, it's all a blur. I actually today, just a little side note. We have somebody that's looking to replace the windows in the house here, and so we have a folder of all the things that we did on the house, or at least the records that we kept, and it's like This was 8 years ago. This was 15 years ago. It's like I could have sworn that was 2 years ago that we did that. No, it was 15 years ago. And it's like we bought a bed or something like that. It's just like that bed's 10 years old. I thought that was like 5 years old. So time just like moves.
Oh, it flies.
It flies.
It flies.
Even with sports too. You look down, you're like, holy cow, we're in 2023, and I'm talking about 1988 like it was a few years ago.
Yeah. No, it was.
But yeah, so and the other site that I stumbled on when I'm playing my serious hockey replays, I search for NHL trades of the past, and this site is called NHL Trade Tracker, and it goes all the way back to 1918, right up through modern day. And you can click on any season, and it'll bring up the trades in order from that season. And it's really that's really helpful too. So if I'm sitting there and I'm wondering, where was this guy? When did he finally get traded to these teams? If I'm, is he on the ice that day? So if I don't happen to go to, the hockey reference sites, if I go to NHL Trade Tracker, I can see when the guys got traded, and who they were traded for. Mm-hmm. And that's always fun to see, too. So that's more entertainment than anything else, but it's still kind of fun to go and see, hey, when was this guy traded? And, who did he play for? And what's going on over here, But even the football reference site I use a lot, too, when I'm doing my football stuff to see, I like to look at standings, too. Sometimes I sit back and just look at the standings, and I'm like, okay, what team would I like to play? I don't necessarily need to play the best. I don't necessarily want to play the worst, because I always do that. So how about someone near the top? Is there someone near the top that I could play and see maybe I could get them over the top?
I know with Football Reference, I used that when I was doing the football replay streams, because it was a good way to get a handle on how those teams should be played. Mm-hmm. If you have a run, who got the bulk of the carries?
Right.
How many times a game did they pass? Who should I be focusing what receivers should I be focusing on, especially when you're playing action PC football? It was real good for that, because you don't want to sit there and throw it 40 times if they ran it 40 times, for that. And also because football, in a 16-game season, if you get something that is kind of out of the ordinary, then you can take a look to see, well, is it out of the ordinary or what? I know from my days in covering baseball that Baseball Reference during the season updates Monday through Saturday at 7 a.m.
Okay.
And on Sundays at 8 a.m. And so they're constantly updated throughout the season. So if you go in, let's say now at 4 o'clock, yesterday's stats are already in, along with box scores and all that. So it's not only just a repository of everything that happened in baseball's history. They're all current to that day. And so if you wanted to see, really, I missed that. The only thing that I think that could make that more of a time suck would be if they linked videos.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. You want to watch this? Not only will we tell you that Freddie Lynn went 3 for 4, here's a video clip of Freddie's 3 hits.
Oh, gee, would that be fun? That would be great. Yeah,
my goodness gracious.
Don't
give them any ideas.
Yeah.
So it was, when I wrote about baseball and a current team, it was an invaluable resource because everything was right there. Every possible old-style stat, sabermetric stat, any split. You're putting together an article. Do you need to know how Max Scherzer pitched at Shea Stadium in a given year? Boom. We can tell you that. And that's well beyond the books. And so, yeah, you can go through, as we talked about, just so much there. Hockey DB, he didn't talk about too much. Tremendous site for international and minor league hockey. So if you have an oddball gaming set that you'd want to play, because I know there's some ECHL sets out there.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to follow the non-NHL stuff than it is on Hockey Reference. Just list it all in order. So Jaromir Jagr, for instance, just listed in chronological order for all the teams he played, right from his junior teams and his WJC squads and his careers and everything he's played for since he left the NHL the last time. So that's a good one, laid out really well. And hockey prospects, I remember I covered the Caps for about a month, and they had not only a lot of good overseas information, but again, complete careers. And along with maybe a scouting report. So if there was someone, maybe like a Lyndon Byers or someone that you didn't really know.
Yep.
Growing up, you could sit there and see the stats for a more modern player, not necessarily from the 40s or 50s or 60s, but a scouting report of what their strengths were. And so that was good. I know that there's an auto racing community, and there's a few sites out there. One of them is called The Third Turn.
Really?
And it will list every NASCAR sanctioned race in its entire history, not just the top two in the trucks, but if they ran at Thunder Road in Barrie, Vermont, which our governor was a driver at Thunder Road in Barrie, Vermont before he got into politics, it is there where everyone started and where everyone finished from every race. So it's just absolutely incredible. If you have a hankering to do a replay of a Formula 4 European season from 1975, you could do it. All that's there. It is talk about going down a rabbit hole. Yeah. And of course, the granddaddy of them all is retrosheet.org. I don't know if you know the story of that.
No, I do not.
Okay. After, I forget what year that box scores started to be published on the web and all that with complete play-by-play and what Major League Baseball and ESPN and all that. But if you wanted to go back to, let's say, I think their cutoff was 75. So from 1900 to 1975, they didn't have all that information. Yes, they had box scores in the paper and the sporting news and all of that they could publish, but it is still a multi-year quest to get play-by-play data from all those games. And they contacted teams, and teams sent official scorebooks, especially for the defunct teams. And so that was all a volunteer effort to type all that information in by hand.
Oh.
And so when you see it now on Baseball Reference, if you go, let's say your first game was July 3rd, 1964 or whatever it was, chances are it was a volunteer from RetroSheet that tracked down that information between the Mets and the Phillies, for instance, and put that all in there. And it's just an unbelievable amount of data. I believe that's how it can all be parsed, too. You write a program and it will split it out, whatever. But it all pretty much started with retrosheet.org. And I remember when they would just they would do a couple seasons over the course of a given year, and they're still looking for box scores and play-by-play information for this or that. And to just, again, it's kind of like no one really thought to keep a lot of that information. The box scores obviously got kept, but no one, I'm sure in 1952, ever thought it was going to be important to know how Pee Wee Reese or Duke Snider hit against a lefty.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure the teams kept that information. I mean, obviously, they did some scouting and where they hit the ball and all that, but yeah, to have those deep dives of statistics pretty much all started with retrosheet.org.
And the one we haven't really talked about yet is one that you're on, newspapers.com, right?
Newspapers.com, I think, is the best if you're looking for the actual stories to go through it. You and I've spent some nights. Well, why was this? What the hell happened to him? And you click it open, and they get more and more site. They've gone from having just a lot of small town papers to having pretty much every big city covered. So New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, Boston, Houston, Miami, what have you. It's all there. And, the sports pages were always pretty much well kept once you get to a certain point. But even, when we had J.W. Hedrick on, I believe that was his name, he would go to the Library of Congress to pull that information to get all the stuff for this. Well, now you can do that from your own home.
Yeah. Yeah.
The thing is, when you go back to the 1890s to pick out that information, it's also mixed in there with Aunt Sally's cow tongue recipes and the railroad schedules. There wasn't really a designated sports section. Again, it's fascinating to do that, but oh my goodness, no, I really don't care about the 19th recipe for preserving pickles. Nothing against pickles, but just tell me. So that's all there. And especially if you're looking at minor league information, again, not every minor league squad is going to be there. But in international papers, there's a complete run of the Montreal Gazette. the Edmonton and Calgary papers, the Windsor Daily Star. I don't think they have any of the Toronto papers yet, but so yeah. So, and of course, that's for whatever it is, from top level sports down to, did your grandfather hit the winning basket to win a high school championship? It's there. And you're like, oh, my grandfather was called Fluffy.
Yeah.
Really, Graham? You never told me that Bob Fluffy Apodaca is the one that hit the winning free throws? Yeah. So
there's so many uses for these reference sites, and there's a handful of them out there. Like I say, we've talked about a lot about them here on the show.
Special shout out to Ron Bernier, because he's gone through, and the baseballsimresearch.com site has stuff that he's put together, transactions, lineup grids, how bullpens were used. And again, it goes back to the day and age before these sites existed, and he did all that research so you could he was selling them. So let's say you wanted to do 79 like Dave did, he'd send you the 900-page book or the 900-page PDF, and you'd have all that information to go sit there and do an as-played replay before all this other stuff became common.
Yeah. No, that must have been fantastic. A lot of work, too. But, boy, I tell you.
Oh, my goodness, yes.
But it is nice that we have these available to us now here in 2023, and that stuff was not available, many years ago.
It wasn't even really available 20 years ago.
But I find myself.
One of the things,
go ahead.
One of the things that you're doing, especially when you're doing the hockey stuff, is that because everyone's carded, you really are one of the pioneers in hockey as played. I know that strathockey.net has some as played kits to play Strat that way, and because the computer will have cards that Strat would never print. But as far as people who were learning to do an as played for that, I mean, 30 years ago, you just played with the cards that you had. And be fine with it just because they were there. But now, if you got that, who was the guy from Hartford that you keep talking about that had 19 penalty minutes?
Yeah, it was opening night.
Opening night against the Bruins, right?
Yeah, it was 1992-93. Because I'm still going to go back to that game there. I mean, that season there.
Right.
I'm 9 games in. But that opening night against the Hartford Whalers, I was looking at the penalty summary here. Scott Daniels, I think it was. Scott Daniels, he picked up 19 penalty minutes, and that was his only game of the season.
Right.
So his card was just one big X. But he was carded. He played one game, and Hockey Bones carded him, and I played him on opening night. And I don't know how many penalties he got for me, but he had 19 in that one game.
But now you can do that.
Yeah.
And you can go into the basketball reference and see if the playoff box scores have been available for a while, but I mean, they have newspaper scans, so if you wanted to do like an as-played basketball replay from the 60s, you could see who took shots and how many minutes they played.
Yeah, so you can really get it close to what was going on that day.
It is, again, I mean, this is all so new and it's all so out there. And what you and I have learned over the last 4.5 years is that there are a lot of niche replayers out there. Even if you just go under the umbrella of baseball, of what people want to replay. And you can. And it's out there. And I mean, we paid for the stat head for the reference, but a lot of it is out there, and it won't cost you anything more than your regular internet connection.
Yep, and it's just so entertaining. Sometimes it's just like a walk down memory lane.
Yes.
And sometimes it actually clears up some of your misguided remembrances of what happened back then. It's like, oh my gosh, I don't remember this guy playing on this team. And when did he play on this team? No matter what sport it is, it's like, holy cow, he did play on this team, even just 1 year, And it's just kind of fun, looking at that stuff. And then you follow a career of somebody online, and then you go and you follow someone else, and you follow a team. And, I had no idea that this team didn't play this season, and just, they were defunct at this point. And it's just so much. It's just so much enjoyment going and look at these things here, these reference sites. And not only do they help with the projects and the replays, they really do just provide hours and hours of entertainment, of going back into the past and, providing discussions and, providing discussions here on the show for us. We find things on there that we can talk about.
Oh, absolutely.
That's how we got a lot of our. I don't know if they have player numbers at all, but we went to a site that had player numbers, and that's how we did our first 1 through 100 shows. Was a 1 to 99 was.
I believe they're all there for pro football, and they're all there. The reference sites have everyone's number.
Yep, and there's a lot of them out there too, not just the ones that we talked about. So we want to know, what do you guys use reference sites a lot? Which ones do you use? What are some of your favorite ones that you go to when you're looking to do some replays? I mean, do they help you out? I mean, and how do you use them? Yeah, are they a guide, or do you go by what they say and this is the lineup I'm going to use? So we'd like to know what you guys think about the reference sites out there, and what are some of your favorites. So before we wrap up show 178, we should go over our 3 stars
Absolutely.
of the day. All righty. So our first star is Roger Horn.
Yay!
Roger, thanks so much for being a Patreon supporter of the show. Our number 2 star, he is my strikeout recorder. When I stream online, he records all the strikeouts of all the pitches and posts them in the chat room. Scott Long.
Yay!
Scott, thank you so much. And Scott is actually, you need to find Scott because he's doing a lot of work with that Stone Cold Hockey. He's creating a lot of great stuff. I mean, it's all stuff that anybody can create, but he's really gone above and beyond and created some great things with that. So I think I streamed last week, I think it was, or the week before.
The Canada Cup stats,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, I did one of the Canada Cup with Russia, Canada from '87, I think it was.
Yep.
And that was all from Scott. So it was, kudos to him. And our number 1 star of the week, we take a little order these stars out. We have Tony B.
Woohoo!
Tony, thank you so much for supporting the show. It keeps things going as we're in April of 2023, and in 4 months, is that going to be completing 4 years?
Yeah, you start year 5 in July.
Really?
Yeah.
So that was 19, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you'd be right. Yeah, we're going to wrap up 40 years of Digital to Dice this summer. Isn't that weird to think about?
Yeah.
It really is.
It truly is.
All right, so let's wrap this up here. Where's my music? So this has been episode 178 of the Digital to Dice podcast. Ways to get a hold of us, digitaltodice.com is the website. 978-751-DICE is how you can send us a text. digitaltodice@yahoo.com is the email. And over on Facebook, facebook.com/groups/digitaltodice. I'd like to thank Matt McKeever for coming on and giving us a Pocket Pennant Run update. And I do like doing that from time to time. We had Joe Bryan on one time giving an update on his baseball game payoff pitch. So from time to time, if we have something that wouldn't entail a full show, we'll have the developer on, give us a little update here of what's going on. So anyway, I'm Dave.
I'm Ron.
All right, I'll let you get back to your thunderstorm.
Bye-bye.